You go, Byleth. Come on. Take him down. Let's go. Byleth. 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 Byleth.
It's just one merc.
Oh, no. Oh. They had me in the first half, not gonna lie. Nintendo 2 weeks ago shadow dropped a new trailer for the upcoming Musou Fire Emblem crossover, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, and it has changed everything I had expected for this spin-off. Well, okay, maybe not everything. Actually, it confirmed some of my suspicions and theories stated in my previous deep dive. But there is one reveal that has me reeling, scrambling around to figure out how it all works. Byleth is evil! Hey, how about that? Haha! Or at least a hired mercenary who never became a teacher at the Officers' Academy. I think I just heard someone's heart breaking. Despite how unexpected these turn of events may be, let us push forward and uncover the truth that is hiding in plain sight by taking our second deep dive into Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Note, I will be pulling heavily from Three Houses' lore and spoilers, as well as my previous deep dive video. If you haven't seen or played either of those things, I encourage you to skip this video for now, unless you don't care about spoilers, in which case, by all means, join us! Now get your diving gear ready. We're going deep.
It's just one merc.
In the previous deep dive, I speculated Three Houses would take place in an alternate universe, where Geralt never dies, or at least not in the same way, and those who slither in the dark don't play a role in the Academy phase of Three Houses. However, it seems the alternate diversion from the main game begins much earlier, before our three lords ever meet their beloved teacher. Basically, Three Hopes raises the question, what if Byleth never joins the Officers' Academy and remains a mercenary? The answer? The name of Ashen Demon spreads across Foldland as a mercenary to be feared, turning Byleth into a villain of sorts. Think about it. If Edelgard never takes on the role of the Flame Emperor, and the Agarthans stay out of the way, Byleth and Geralt would supposedly never have met up with the Three Lords, thus preventing the events of Three Houses from ever happening. Even for me, who has mixed feelings about Byleth as a character, that's really sad. All those beautiful memories they shared, gone. Thankfully, it seems everyone is in a slightly better place mentally, but still, I can't help but feeling a bit sad and melancholy about the whole thing. Granted, I doubt Byleth will be the antagonist the entire time. There has to be a point where the Ashen Demon joins the player's side, not as a player character, but as a playable unit, perhaps with the creator's sword. Although it would be cool if Byleth suddenly became the playable character. Whoa! Slight tangent. It makes sense why Byleth goes by their nickname instead of the real name, since in Three Houses, the cast never refers to them by their name. It's always teacher or child or something. So expect Ashen Demon to be used a lot, unless they decide to confirm Byleth's name, which I'm not opposed to, but more on Byleth later. Turns out, the real player character this time around is Koei Tecmo's OC purple hair guy, or as it was revealed, gal, and their name is Shez. It's kind of a fun word to say. Shez. Shez. Hey, Shez. Come over here, Shez. Shez. Hey, what's your name? My name? Thought you never asked. It's Shez. Oh, yeah. I tried looking up the origin of the name Shez, but never got a concrete answer. It seems to be of Arabic origins and might mean prince or son of king, but I have no reliable sources to back that up. I was hoping to find relation with Byleth or Sothis' origin, but no luck. I did, however, find an ancient Egyptian god named Shezmu, the god of execution or the slaughterer of souls. Would you look at him? What a distinguished gentleman. Since we know Shez is possessed by a god similar to Byleth, perhaps Shezmu is the inspiration for Shez's inner goddess thing? Granted, you would think his goddess would be named Shezmu in that case, so it's certainly not a solid theory. Still, it would be interesting being possessed by the god of execution. However, thanks to the Japanese Twitter and its well of information, we learned the name of the Red Eyes White Goddess, Arval. Naturally, I turned to the internet in search of a possible inspiration for this name, but unfortunately, no connection to any god of execution. On the other hand, I did read about a group of priests in ancient Rome called the Arval Brethren, who offered annual sacrifices to the Lares and gods in order to guarantee a good harvest. So that's something to consider. Arval could also be derived from the Latin word for field, but how that connects to Shez or who this mysterious person is, I have no idea. Well, maybe I have some inkling, but I'll save that for later. Heck, I don't even know if Arval is female or a androgynous male. Not like it really matters, but, curiosity. Anyway, I'm in no way confident in that theory, so if someone here knows what Shez or Arval could mean, or possibly be inspired by, please let me know. Some interesting things about Shez. He speaks! You actually hear his voice in the trailer and see his lips move in cutscenes, implying he's talking to someone. So instead of being an avatar, is Shez a completely unique character, in the vein of Marth, Roy, Ike, and other main protagonist lords. Finally! No offense to Byleth and her silent ways, but I do prefer a main character with a personality and mind of their own, even if that mind is shared with a second person. Shez actually has a lot of similarities with Byleth. It's probably very much inspired by the concept of Byleth and Sothis, including being saved from death by a deity in their head. According to the Fire Emblem Warriors Japanese Twitter, Shez was traveling Fodlan seeking to make a name for himself with his blade, where he encounters Geralt's band of mercenaries while taking a job. No idea why he decided to pick a fight with them. Maybe the job entailed assassination, or they made fun of his purple hair. But regardless, they fight and somehow the Ashen Demon gets angry enough to basically kill Shez. Instead of falling 6 feet under, his inner demon Arval appears in a dream and saves him through some strange magic. Hey, I've heard this one before. This is the one where the main protagonist meets the 3 lords in the forest and then goes to the Officers Academy, right? Indeed he does, albeit in a different setting away from the Ashen Demon. Granted, based on the Twitter summary, I don't think Arval uses time magic to save Shez like Sothis does, rather she probably heals or transports him away. Still, very clearly a nod to Byleth's near-death experience. Now, how does this fit together with what we saw in the first trailer, specifically the shot of Edelgard talking with who I still believe is Shez in the school uniform? My main theory is the 3 lords encourage Shez to join the academy after they find him in the woods. He joins for a time, and that's how the first couple of chapters play out in the academy phase. Eventually, something terrible happens to Garreg Mach, potentially war of some kind, leading to the time skip. I mean, it's got to be a time skip, whether it be 5, 2, 3 years. Some time has passed between the first few chapters and then the rest of the game. Going into the second trailer, I was pretty confident we would see a more linear take on the 3 houses story, a golden route if you will. But after the trailer revealed 3 separate paths with completely different stories, the term golden route might not be appropriate anymore. Yeah. That said, I'm still confident the 3 lords will work together at some point, joining together to fight a common enemy. I'm just unsure how that'll happen. To me, the first trailer implies them seeing eye to eye at some point, so it seems odd they wouldn't be on the same side. As further evidence, there is a scene in the trailer where Edelgard runs with axe in hand in front of Dimitri, as if they are working together. If these 2 were bitter enemies like in 3 houses, surely they would be crossing blades, not collaborating with each other. Then again, maybe that's only one story path, but I have my doubts. Either way, true to the 3 houses' nature, 3 hopes will have 3 separate routes for you to choose, based on Edelgard, Dimitri, and Claude, respectively. Scarlet Blaze, Azure Gleam, and Golden Wildfire. And just like the last game, I'm having a terrible time deciding which route I should choose first. Is it low of me to base it on the waifu redesigns? I'm just kidding. I don't care what you think. All of that was a joke. Truthfully, I'm curious how the stories will play out in each route, especially with an alliance between our main lords. But what could their new goals be? In my previous video, I brought up the idea of the lords fighting against their own kingdoms, along with the Church of Seros. While I'm unsure about the church, there's a scene in the new trailer that hints at strife between Dimitri's group and the kingdom of Fargus. The beast of a man, Dedu, takes down a couple of soldiers with a mighty swing, foot soldiers with blue to be exact, implying the kingdom of Fargus. Doesn't it seem strange for Dedu to fight against the kingdom of his prince, unless Dimitri himself was fighting against that kingdom? Maybe Cornelia and those that slither in the dark seize control of the kingdom. Again, so Dimitri's route pertains to reclaiming the throne. Scenes like this make me wonder if the lords are indeed fighting against their own kingdom. However, Edelgard is clearly using the troops from the Empire. So who is she fighting? And I'm sure Dimitri is using troops in Fargus. So, I guess it could be kind of a split army type of situation. Speaking of the Slither crew, these magic circles scream Agarthans, most likely the work of Tails, Thales, whatever it is, or Solon. But there could be other evildoers at play. Basically, this barrage of evil magic confirms the Slither crew will indeed be in the game as antagonists, whether for the overall plot or just one of the routes. most likely Edelgard's path. After all, it's clear her body still possesses double crests, as indicated by her white hair, thus giving her a reason to seek revenge on the Slither crew. With the three lords following separate but potentially aligned paths, I can't help but wonder what the Church of Sero is doing in the middle of the chaos. Are they fanning the flames of war, or licking their wounds from battle? We do know that a battle occurs there with Edelgard fairly early on in the game, but to what end? The battle preview says the Imperial army marches towards Garreg Mach in order to sack the seat of power. But clearly the game doesn't end there. Also, if Edelgard is controlling the Imperial army, it does contradict the idea she would be fighting her own people. But maybe the Agarthans currently have a tight hold on the Adrestian Empire. Back to the point, if they successfully put an end to Lady Rhea and the Church, does the Church do nothing for the entire story? I mean, your army doesn't even use the Church as a base camp, instead opting out for a campground-like setting. Granted, part of me is happy to get a new area to explore, even if it will be most likely smaller. Maybe the Church enters into a peace treaty with the prevailing army and stays out of the way for the rest of the game, but that seems kind of boring. On top of all that, where does this leave the Ashen Demon, who clearly still plays a role in the story as seen in both trailers? Does she side with the highest bidder in each route? Does the Church hire her to protect Garreg Mach, but Shez stands in her way? Sothis even has a line in the first trailer talking about seeking revenge to soothe Byleth's heart. Why is she seeking revenge in the first place? Does Geralt die in the battle at Garreg Mach? Does she have a bone to pick with Shez, or perhaps a different enemy? I also wonder about the outcome of Shez and Byleth's battle in the first trailer, where Shez breaks Byleth's sword, even after both have gone Super Saiyan. Surely Shez doesn't kill Byleth there, so does Byleth run away, join the party, or pull off an unforeseen comeback that truly makes her Shez's strongest enemy? Byleth's role in this game is truly a mystery. My hypothesis is Byleth would join your party in at least one of the routes, since this is a Warriors game. It just doesn't make sense to keep Byleth as a villain when the Church and Sothis should play a big role. Plus, you can't keep her unplayable. That's just silly. Right? Now that I think about it, however, I wonder if there will be a secret fourth route, the true Golden Route, where after you finish all 3 campaigns, a final route is unlocked, allowing the player to recruit Byleth and get an all-encompassing ending. Granted, that might go against the spirit of Three Houses, but I think it could be a neat way to reward the player for completing all 3 routes. Unfortunately, I have no evidence to back that up. It's just a hunch or a desire.
You're here to fight by your side, Your Majesty, and so we shall. Now.
In this latest trailer, we got confirmation about a handful of units, albeit some of which were already seen in the first trailer. Hubert, Hilda, Monica, and even Dedu were all in that original reveal, something I correctly predicted. But this time, we also see Mercedes and her beautiful new design. Just look at her new haircut, the perfect fusion of her floof and shorter hair. No, I love this! Thank you very much! There's also Lorenz. But just look at Mercedes. Work it, baby, work it! Gorgeous. But seriously, Lorenz is here too, now featuring a long bob instead of a long bob. I think it's improvement, a much better haircut. With the reveal of Mercedes and Lorenz, the stage is set to start revealing more of the students. Unfortunately, these two are the only units we see outside the Lords and their right-hand man. I'm sure they are there, but this reveal has got me thinking, what if your roster is determined by the Lord you pick? Meaning more so than the original game. It's possible the path you choose is going to determine who you have in your party, and you'll be stuck with them until the next playthrough. If they do indeed bring back all the students, I could see them only being playable depending on the route you choose. In other words, no recruiting students from other houses, or I guess in this case, other armies. Well, there goes my dreams of an all-waifu team. Thanks, Koei Tecmo! It's just a guess right now, and I would absolutely be down for recruiting all units, but sticking to each route's original cast makes each playthrough unique, and would give players even more incentive to try the different story paths. We actually have potential confirmation of route-exclusive characters besides the Lords. Monica was first seen in the reveal trailer, but in this new video, she is seen fighting alongside Edelgard, with no sign of Dimitri or Claude. With her connection to the Black Eagles, it's highly likely that Monica is indeed unique to the Scarlet Blaze route. No idea if she stays an ally or turns out to be Kronia in disguise again. I mean, hey, way to play the long game, Kronia. But I'm not confident she'll be key to Edelgard's story. The new trailer also features characters who were mentioned but never shown in Three Houses. Hilda's older brother Holst, that's pretty big. Someone who looks like Caspar's father, or maybe even brother, like way older brother. A wyvern rider who looks like royalty and maybe the king of Elmira, and thus Claude's father. That would be cool, and that probably is the golden wildfire route. And lastly, a hand reaching out to Dimitri, which, based on the white glove and cuffs, I assume is Rodrigue. When you include Monica into the mix, it looks like each route will include characters who never made an appearance in the main game, or, well, had more of a minor appearance, and I wouldn't be surprised if characters like Holst ended up playable like Monica, but it's too early to tell. I won't get my hopes up. Regardless, this more or less confirms unit-exclusive characters in each route. There's also the possibility that many characters will behave as clones, and by splitting up the cast, some of the characters do not interact with each other, making it less noticeable. Maybe. That said, I would much prefer each unit to have a unique style like in Age of Calamity, instead of a bunch of reskins. The worst case scenario, however, is Koei Tecmo limiting the entire cast, and Mercedes and Lorenz just happen to make the cut. Happy for the Mercedes and Lorenz fans, that's for sure. Here's hoping your favorite makes it. Personally, I find it hard to believe they would snuff out any of the students from this spin-off, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. So what about the teachers and leaders of Garrick Mach? How will they fit into the story? We do see and hear Flayn in the trailer with practically zero context, but what about everyone else? My guess is they'll join your party depending on the route you take. Perhaps Catherine for Azure Gleam, Shamir for Golden Wildfire, etc. That said, I'm still unsure if Rhea will have much to do in this game besides the battle for Garrick Mach that happens towards the beginning. Maybe there will be special side quests to add them to the party no matter which route you choose. Technically, any unit could potentially be recruited with a simple side quest mission, so maybe I'm thinking way too hard about all this. Next up, we get a new look at the war map, this time for the Blitz of Regen. It's hard to say exactly which route this would be, although I'm somewhat inclined to think it would be Claude's route. But if you look at what I assume is the base camp, you can see red flags around the castle, implying this could be the Scarlet Blaze route instead. Sorry, Claude. I hope you understand why we're charging on your kingdom. No problem. I would do the exact same thing. Really? No. Interestingly, these are the same red flags and base camp from the reveal trailer. Even the location is the exact same place. Theoretically, the base camp might remain here in this spot for the entirety of the game, although it's possible the camp will move based on where your next mission lies. Either way, it's interesting that both maps start in the same place. There are some tiny inclusions to the war map this time around, including Anna running around the map. My first thought was, she's just a special merchant. There's nothing strange about that. But if she is recruitable, then maybe other units will appear on the map as well, if they have a side quest available. Or Anna is just special like that. She gets that special treatment. We also see the inclusion of a merchant and the goods he sells being advanced seals. Later on, we see Shez changing his class multiple times, so I'm sure he'll need those seals. But the item also could mean other units will have further class changes, which really isn't that surprising for a Fire Emblem crossover. On to the preparation screen, we see that Edelgard and Shez are level 23, implying that this mission, whether main or side quest, occurs later than the Battle of Garrick Mach. If you played the original Fire Emblem Warriors, this screen might seem less foreign to you, although there are definitely some new touches. For example, the grid on the top right explains a unit's strengths, indicated by the blue arrows, and which enemy types you can expect on the map. On the map, you see enemies that Edelgard is weak to, indicated by red arrows pointing down, and blue arrows for the enemies that Shez is strong against. Like in Three Houses, it's not quite like the weapon triangle, but it follows the basic principle. Even foot soldiers are represented on the enemy grid. Back to the grid map, currently there are only 4 deployed units for this map. Edelgard, Shez, Hubert, and somebody hiding behind that button command, "You can't hide forever!" Next to them are 4 free spaces, potentially implying where you can place your units. Not sure if this also means you could have more than 4 units for the map, but might as well point it out. As for the other maps, we get a closer look at Edelgard and Monica's sprites. Edelgard looks okay, looks like herself, but Monica looks nothing like her sprite. Who even is this? Maybe I'm being too nitpicky, but it took me a while to figure out that was Monica. Anyway, below them is an archer unit. If my theory about roots having exclusive characters is true, and we are indeed playing through Edelgard's story, I'm guessing this archer is Bernadetta. See the purple hair? Maybe it's kind of purple grayish, it's close. Okay, fine, these sprites make it hard to discern who is who, so I could be totally off, but hey, Bernie potentially confirmed, maybe? Unrelated to units, we see the player directing Shez to attack an enemy unit. Upon doing so, a graphic appears that shows Shez overwhelmingly defeating the soldier at 88%. But what does this mean exactly? Is it related to each unit's battalion? Or is it an indication of the outcome of the battle? Surely there isn't a 12% chance Mr. Nobody takes down Shez, right? Next, we see the inclusion of adjutants from 3 houses, and they seem to behave the same way as pair-ups in the first Fire Emblem Warriors. But can you switch between adjutants, meaning the player character and its adjutant? I'll take it a step further. Can you even switch between units mid-battle, like the first Fire Emblem Warriors and Age of Calamity? You would think so, right? But I see little indication you can freely change. That said, it might just be a simple press of the D-pad and doesn't need to be indicated on the screen like it was in Age of Calamity. Honestly, I would be pretty disappointed if you couldn't switch between units freely. It would be a huge step back. So I'll give 3 hopes a benefit of the doubt and expect it's there. There are plenty of smaller details on the battle map, but I don't have the patience or interest to talk about each and every one. I'm sorry.
Boo!
Your negativity only makes me stronger. The second trailer reveals the base camp, allowing Shez to freely explore a Garrick Mach monastery-like setting in order to prepare for battle. Train with allies, eat meals, do boring chores, shopping for weapons, strengthen your army, etc, etc. Nothing too exciting. Is that the Gatekeeper? Good to see you on the side of justice, Gatekeeper. Cancel all military conquests. We've already won. Oh, and we also have cats. Hey, maybe they have a bone to pick with the Triceratops too. Moving on, Shez as a dual swordsman magically summons his crest weapon out of thin air towards the end of the trailer. What kind of sorcery is this? Is the game not rendering it because it's too close to the camera? Does Arval store his weapon for him? Hey, you don't do that. Do I look like a storage unit to you? Another minor thing to note, Shez's class is called Flugel, which is definitely not in my vocabulary. I turned to the Japanese side for help, but it's basically just the katakana version of it, Furugeru. So what does it mean? Well, Google says it's a harpsichord or grand piano. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see Shez revealing his groundbreaking sonata anytime soon. Although it would be cool to see a unit wreck others with a piano.
Get a little taste of my ode to joy!
Another meaning for Flugel could come from German. Flugel is a last name in some English families that comes from the South German word Flügel, which is an occupational name for plowmaker or even farmer. This definition makes a little more sense when you consider Arval's origin in regards to the harvest and field. Perhaps Shez is just a metaphorical farmer preparing for Arval's harvest, whatever that means. Of course, if someone again has a better meaning for the word, please let me know. I'll only be a little embarrassed.
Remember, we're partners in destiny.
Lastly, let's touch briefly on Sothis, Byleth, Arval, and their role in the story. Basically, I find it hard to believe that Sothis and Arval aren't connected in some way. For more of my theories about these two, please watch my first analysis video. For the most part, my theories still stand, although I'm less confident Arval is from a foreign planet like Sothis. However, I think Arval plays a key role in the future and past of Fodlan, as indicated by her line in the first trailer, "The cycle of this world, I will not allow it to perish with you." I'm certain she says this line to Shez as she saves him from the Ashen Demon. But what does it mean? The cycle of this world? The cycle of war and hate? Why not allow that to perish? We don't need that. Don't we want to end the cycle of hate? In that case, what cycle could she be referring to? Perhaps Arval holds a great connection with the world of Fodlan, maybe being some sort of deity over the earth. That would explain the harvest backstory of her name. The cycle she is referring to could have something to do with replenishing the world, preparing it for harvest. If it's a cycle, then surely it's happened before, maybe through Shez's lineage. After all, his family is unknown, as pointed out in his Twitter bio. No clue if this harvest is a good thing for the people of Fodlan, or secretly genocide in disguise. Honestly, the theory I like the most is the darker one, where Arval is trying to purge the world. So dark. That could give reason for Byleth and Shez to join sides, or maybe even Byleth becoming the actual main character. Whoa, woo. Granted, Arval seems pretty harmless. Calling someone partners of destiny isn't usually considered an evil move, but I've been wrong before. So where does that leave Sothis? In my previous video, I speculated Sothis might have fought against Arval in the past, and I still think that's possible. Maybe Sothis being an illegal alien rubbed Arval the wrong way.
Daggone green-haired dragon invading Fodlan, taking our jobs and our farms. Make me sick.
Or maybe Nabesians did sketchy things to Fodlan's Earth, thus upsetting Arval. But how would that have anything to do with the cycle Arval is talking about? To be fair, maybe Sothis and Arval have nothing to do with each other, and the only reason Sothis is on the key art is because she was so important in 3 houses. However, like I mentioned earlier, Sothis has a speaking role, so there is more to her than just a cameo. Alright, I'm starting to give more questions than answers, so I think it's time to wrap up. Keeping the big reveals close to their chest, waiting for the right moment to show the bigger picture is not uncommon for Nintendo, especially as of late. In fact, I expected there was more to the first Three Hopes trailer than met the eye. But I had no idea Koei Tecmo and Intelligent Systems were sitting on their bold decision to turn Byleth into more of a baddie than she already was. Wait a minute. So while I'm confused on how all the pieces will fall together, I cannot wait to return to the world of Fulden once more and see the new stories yet to be told. Let's cross our fingers that all of our favorites will make it. Dear goddess, the Ashen Demon. She's a baddie. Thank you so much for watching. Are you excited for Baddie Byleth? I know I am. Let me know in the comments below. Oh, I really need a filter. Up next, I'm finally doing an analysis of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, despite being so late to the show. I just gotta. It's my most anticipated game. In the meantime, remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this. See you later. Changing my catchphrase. I'm done. I'm done with saying goodbye to you good people. I'm just gonna say see you later. See you later. Oh, there goes it. There goes the power.
I am the night. Ah!